All right, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Saturday Leadership Lab. My name is Earl Mann. I'm going to be the facilitator of this conversation. I'd like to welcome anybody who's finding time to tune in with us this morning. For the newcomers, this is just a conversation on personal performance, personal leadership. There's um, nothing to join, nothing to buy, nothing to try, anything like that, other than some ideas. We do this on a weekly basis as a part of our leadership curriculum with our team, and we decided to open it up just to the world, because we had people that wanted friends and acquaintances and business associates that were not associated with us in business, but they thought that they would get something out of the conversation. So we wanted to open it up and make that possible. Again, my name is Earl Mann. I'm going to be the facilitator of today's workshop, and we're going to be getting started here in just a couple of moments. This is interactive, so if you'd like to let me know who you are or where you are tuning in from, that's always appreciated. It is not mandatory or required, but you're definitely welcome to let us know who you are or what part of the country or the world you are tuning in from. Quite often we have people tuning in outside of the United States. So welcome, Mark. Welcome to the broadcast. Welcome, Steve, John. Welcome to the broadcast, guys. I wonder if this is going to be a men's only today. We will see. See lots of people tuning in. Don't know where you're tuning in from, but that's totally fine. Again, my name is Earl Mann. I'd like to welcome you to today's Leadership Lab. We'd like to give people just a couple of moments to tune in. What I invite you to do is to prepare to take some notes or to jot down some ideas. Often when we have our conversation, it sparks different ideas, thoughts, and insights that you generate yourself, and often those are valuable perspectives that you don't want to forget. So if you can, be prepared to capture some of your own ideas as we go through this morning's discussion. Again, you can let me know if you mind. This is interactive, so you can actually chat into the box and let me know who you are, what part of the country you are tuning in from. We do not capture your information or retain it or intend to market you in any fashion. It's just always interesting for us to keep track or try to keep track with how the information is spidering out there in the universe. Welcome Canada. Welcome to the broadcast. I just made a comment that sometimes we have people tune in from outside of the United States. Brock, welcome to the broadcast. This is an international class, just like that. And welcome to the broadcast. Glenn, welcome to the broadcast. Welcome everybody. Again, my name is Earl Mann, and I'm going to facilitate this leadership lab. I don't anticipate us being here too long this morning. Our goal here is really just to share some very useful perspective that we've gathered over the years of teaching in the areas of performance and leadership, team building. We really have a strong emphasis, though, on personal performance, so things that you can do or things that you might be able to do to adjust your own personal perspective. Our goal is leadership starts with leading yourself. As one of my business partners always says, if you can lead one, you can lead many. But if you can't lead one, you can't lead any. So our conversations on Saturdays are really geared towards helping you adjust or sharing some ideas and philosophies in the areas of personal performance and personal leadership, in the hope that you might glean just a little bit of perspective or a little bit of insight that raises your personal ability just a bit, because we will often talk about that slight edge, that slight difference is all that's really required, played out over time consistently, can have a massive result downstream. All right, guys, so we're going to ease into this. See lots of people tuning in. If you'd like to say hi to me, let me know who you are. You're totally welcome to do that. If not, sit back, be a fly on the wall, but we still hope you get something out of this. Hopefully you've had your cup of coffee, cup of tea, did your walk, did your morning yoga, whatever your morning ritual is to get the blood flowing, get the neurons firing, paying attention. Sometimes we touch on some concepts that are a little abstract, sometimes not. Today's going to be rather straightforward, although it really depends upon your level of your own personal understanding what the conversation really means that we talk about. Many of the conversations we have are are meta conversations in the sense that they have meanings on multiple levels, and usually people find their own level and find their own meaning. So today we're going to actually get into, today's conversation is going to be around the critical nature of meaning in our lives. Today we're going to get around the critical nature of meaning in our lives. And often in many of other workshops we talk about the relationship between emotions and activity, emotions and you taking action. Today we're going to actually go just a little upstream in front of emotions. In fact, in one of our workshops, I like to ask the audience, where do emotions come from? Where do they come from? And these are just some ideas and some things we'd like to share. Remember, we don't prescribe that you think like we think or believe what we believe. We just throw some ideas out at you that we find useful or interesting, and then we let you do with those ideas. It's clay in your own hands. You can discard it, mold it, shape it, or just look at it and think about it. But the first question I'm going to ask you is, where do your emotions come from? Where do your emotions come from? And what we're going to ask you to consider is that your emotions come from meaning, definitions that you have before the emotions, before the event that happens that generates whatever emotion you feel. You carry around with you definitions and meanings that generate those emotions. A common example I like to give really quickly is that, let's imagine that there are two people here in my home office with me today, and let's just say that one of those people is definitely afraid of dogs, and the other person is an absolute dog lover. There are two people, but one is definitely afraid of dogs for whatever reason, and the other is an absolute dog lover. And let's just say that when they walk out of my front door, there's a big, giant, what do you call those big, tall dogs? Great Dane. Big, giant Great Dane. I mean, almost big as a little tiny horse, sitting there, right there in front of the door. Now, the person that loves dogs, what they think is going to be completely different than what the person that fears dogs think, right? The person that loves dogs is going to have imagery, it's going to have definition or meanings that are completely different than the person that fears dogs, right? So they're going to think different thoughts. They're going to have different meaning associated with what they see in front of them, and that's going to trigger what emotion they feel. You know, one's going to feel, wow, look at that big, great dog, look how happy it is. And they're going to look at different things. They're going to see that the dog is wagging its tail, that is happy. They're going to want, you know, what they want to do next is going to be completely different. The dog lover might want to go pet it or look around for the owners, you know, that type of thing. The person that fears dogs is going to have a completely different chain reaction mentally. They're going to have different imagery that conjures up. They're going to think of different things, what that means, what the dog in front of them means. They're going to probably associate it with something else, like the dog might be getting ready to attack them or whatever that is. But the point I want to make is, and I know this is a watered down example. I'm not trying to make the perfect example. I'm just trying to make a quick one so I don't keep you here long today. But my point here today is, it wasn't the dog that generated the emotion. It wasn't where they were. It wasn't the environment either that generated the emotion, because both people were in the exact same office. Both people walked out the exact same door. Both people looked at the exact same dog, but both people had two completely different thought processes, two definitions. They had two complete different definitions of what they were looking at. Now, because they had two different definitions, they had completely different sequence of images that they saw in their head. Because they had two completely different series of images that they saw in their head, what happened inside of their body was completely different. If you could attach them up to the monitors that could detect changes in their perspiration, their heart rate, their blood pressure, even if you could test their blood to see what hormones were released, what chemicals were happening, what biochemical reactions were happening inside of their body, there would be two completely different biochemical states generated in those people, and the two difference, and they could be worlds apart, worlds apart. And the point I'm trying to make here is the things that made them worlds apart were nothing more than the definition that they carried around with them before they were exposed to that stimulus, the dog, the environment, the circumstances. So I hope now let's make that really practical, and then I'm going to give you an exercise to do so that you can take control over this process. You know, when we get angry, or when we get mad, or when we get upset, or when we get happy, it is not objectively related to the circumstances. It's subjectively created by what we think that means. When you get angry at somebody, it's not what they did to you that makes you angry. It's what you think that what they did to you means. Believe me, I can for whatever somebody's done to you that makes you angry or makes you feel sad or makes you feel fearful, I can find another human being on this planet, have that exact same action done to them, but because that means something different to them, they feel a completely different way. And this is very, very critical, in my opinion, that we get a handle over what meanings we carry around, because they are a large part, a huge part of triggering what emotions we feel. And believe me, folks, our emotions are the energy, are the fuel that make us take and do anything. Whatever action we take is generated and fueled by some emotion, whether it be fear or whatever. It's always some emotion. I'm going to try not to break it down too far today, but there's always some emotion that creates that fuel, that drive, that sustaining force for us to take any action at all. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do is a simple exercise, right? Let me see. Let me think for a second. Let me pause for just a second and see if I made that point clear enough. Now, let me give you one more metaphor. I'm going to come at that exact same idea from a completely different angle. And I like to do this, right? I like to give the same idea or the same viewpoint from a different perspective, because it makes sense to different people sometimes coming from a different angle. Let me give you the exact same idea. This is going to be the same dog idea, the same meaning idea that generates emotions, feelings, etc. I'm going to do it in a completely different metaphor. This, I'm going to give you the example of two guys that have a different view on who they are and where they are right now. Let's just say they're both biomedically and chemically and DNA the exact same person, right? I'm going to just give you two different situations. One is the person believes that they are getting old, and we can leave it that simple. One person believes that they are getting old and their body is reflecting the things that they've associated with getting old. And let's imagine that the other person that has the exact same level of health and a level of age and a level of fitness believes that they are still young and vibrant, and in fact, let's just suppose that the one that's getting old. Okay, let's do this. The one that's getting old, because they believe they're getting old, and when they look around the world, they're going to find things that back that up, and then they're going to start to take actions that are consistent with that belief. The same with the person that thinks they're full of energy and vibrant and still youthful, even though they're the same age. So because of that, let's imagine that they both start their morning off, and they think about who they are, and they do things that's consistent with their perspective and their understanding and meanings around their age, right? And let's just imagine that so one person gets up and and does things that they think people that are getting old do. And they can fill in the blanks on that. Let's suppose that the other person does things that people that are youthful and energetic do. And let's just suppose that one person just goes through their workday, and during the course of their workday, they lift a box in the office, and that by lifting that box, let's say they move a lot of boxes, and then they have a sore muscle. Okay, they have a sore muscle, a sore back muscle, or whatever for moving those boxes. Let's say both people did that. Now the next morning, when they wake up, let's imagine that both of those people, if you could measure it up to a machine, an objective machine, and measure the exact pain and how it feels, let's just say they were the same in both people. Now, it is easy to see how the person that is getting old would wake up and feel that soreness in the back and say, man, I'm getting old. My body's not what it used to be, and et cetera, et cetera. Follow that chain reaction all the way down. The person that feels they're young and vibrant, because you could easily see how that person could wake up and feel that exact same pain and say, wow, yeah, that was a good workout yesterday. I still got it. I'm still, they look at the pain, they interpret that physical pain in two different ways. And because of that meaning they've given it, will absolutely determine what they do for the rest of the day. One might do things that view that discomfort, that pain as an injury. The other will do things that view that discomfort, that pain, as something related to athletic performance. And they will end up making completely different decisions. Okay, so that hopefully you understand now how important meanings are. The meanings we give things absolutely control how we feel about everything, and how we feel about everything absolutely dictate what we do about anything. All right, so here's the exercise. I created this many years ago, probably over 15 years ago for myself, but it's a very useful little workshop, a very useful little exercise. I call it the blue list. And this is going to look like an exercise in time management. This is going to look, I'm telling you now, this is going to look like I'm telling you to do an exercise in time management. That is not what this is. This will be an exercise in meaning management, in definition management. For those of you that are following along the conversation, you're going to understand exactly what I mean by that. But this is a simple exercise. All I want you to do is to make a list, starting, and I want you to start in the morning, an hour before you wake up in the morning, and write down the time. So if you normally wake up at 7 o'clock, I want you to write down 6 o'clock. And I want you to write down every half an hour increment on the half an hour increment. So 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock, all the way until the time you normally go to bed at night. Go an hour or two after that. Now, what I want you to do is really simple. You go back up, and I want you, to the best of your ability, to the best of your knowledge, look back over the yesterday or the last couple of days, because most people's days are relatively the same. And if you need to label across the top like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's even better. But you can do this one day at a time. But if you can do it at a week at a time, it's even better. A month at a time is even better. Now, what I want you to do is start off from the moment you wake up and just write down a little note of what you do during that half an hour time frame. And that's really simple. So if you're between 6 o'clock and 6:30, you wake up, get dressed, just write that in the box. 7 o'clock, whatever you do, eat breakfast, drive to work, get to work, cut on my computer, whatever it is you do, teach a class, whatever it is, just go down as much detail as you can. If you don't know, leave it blank. Don't make things up. You can't make things up in our workshop, right? This is a truth-based workshop. So do the whole day that way. Now, what I want you to do is have two separate different colored markers or crayons or pencils. I want you to have a red one and a blue one. A red one and a blue one. You don't have to use my colors, but these are it just makes it easy for me to explain it if I use red and blue. Now, this is very, very simple, okay? At the top of this page, once you do all of that stuff, or before you do this exercise, at the top of the page, I want you to write down what your major, what your major top 1, 2, or 3 goals are. What you are trying to accomplish in your life, who you're trying to become. Just write those down, and you should know those in detail. If you don't know those, if you don't know what your goals are, what you're trying to do or become, then that's where you need to start. You can go back and review another workshop on that. But write that down. Now what I want you to do is I want you to look at each item you have on your list. This is a very simple process, but you have to be definitely honest. Okay. All I want you to do is look at the activity that you've written down in that time slot. Now, if you can explain how that activity, if you know 100% how that activity in that time slot is taking you toward your goal, I want you to underline it or circle it blue. If you know 100% that activity is taking you away from your goal, then I want you to circle that activity red. If you don't know if that activity is taking you away or towards your goal, leave it blank. This is going to be the exercise. Now let me tell you why this is a powerful exercise. It looks like time management, right? Because you see the little time slots and what you do in the time. That's not what this is about. What this is really about is your understanding and your definition, your relationship with your own definitions in your life that determine whether or not that activity is blue or red. Let me give you an example. Let's just say that part of my life goal is, I'm going to make this up, is to own, let's just say that right now I'm a secretary in a government job somewhere. I'm a secretary in a government job, but my real life's goal is to own a chain of restaurants. And the vision I have of myself is owning this international chain of restaurants where I'm flying all around, visiting New York and going to Chicago, doing my restaurant thing, and I'm on TV talking about my restaurants, and that's the vision I have of me. Okay, now, because I have that vision of me, I see myself as being extremely healthy and vibrant, extremely healthy environment, full of energy, always on the go, doing this jet-set lifestyle. Now, because I have that imagery, because that is a part of my personal goal, when I look at my little time slot, and I look at the part that says breakfast, and I look at what I eat for breakfast, if what I'm eating for breakfast is 4 donuts and a big latte, is that getting me towards that vibrant health goal? No, it's not. It's taking me away from that image, my goal, so I color it red. If I'm eating something healthful, something I think that is keeping me healthy or getting me in better health, then that is consistent with my goal, I color it blue. That's the definition, folks. If you can do that to everything in your life, what that tells you is, regardless of what that activity is, regardless of what that circumstance is, you understand by your own definition how it's moving you closer to whatever your personal goal is. Instantly, that makes whatever that value is extremely valuable. It makes whatever that thing is extremely consistent with where it is you want to go. And when you look at a list that becomes more and more blue, and one day all the way blue, then that list itself becomes an overwhelming preponderance of evidence that you are, in fact, by nature of your daily activity, hour by hour, you are on your way to achieving your goal. I hope people understand the power of this little simple exercise. If there's a slot on your goal, on your list, your blue list, where you drive a half an hour to work each way, hour home, hour to work, hour back home, and right now it's white because you don't know how that's helping you, then maybe what you should do is use that time to drop an audio book in about the nature of your profession, and now you're in a rolling university, you're getting smarter about what it is you do. Instantly, that commute becomes blue. Folks, the goal is to make your entire list blue. I started this years and years ago, and people used to always ask me way back when I had a corporate job, even some sucky jobs, right, that, that I on the outside wouldn't appear that I would love so much. The reason why I was always so jacked and always so energetic and always so enthusiastic about what I was doing and what I was doing and how I was doing it, and why I was so happy and full of energy, is because I was on the blue list. My list was blue, if not all the way blue, almost 100% blue. So when you do that, you have a tremendous feeling of worth and empowerment and choice and all the things that the scientists can prove make you feel better, perform better, and you feel happier. I mean, you just have an overall general better feeling about everything when you feel empowered, when you know that what you do matters, when you know that you are in fact on your way to becoming who you know you deserve to become. And it can all start today, folks, by the simple blue list. If you do this blue list and it's all red and white, then you should celebrate, because suddenly you have before you visibly things that you can change instantly just by finding a way to make that activity consistent. You don't even have to change the activity. You just have to change what that activity means. Is this a game? Maybe. But it's a game that you can play that if you win this game, you will find that you're winning the bigger, more meaningful game of life. That I truly believe. All right, folks. So that's basically the idea. While lots of people tuned in since we started. Ed Reynolds, welcome to the broadcast. Jazz, welcome to the broadcast. All right, folks. Hopefully you got something out of that. As always, I invite you to, we did that in less than a half an hour. Great. As always, I invite you to try these ideas, play all out, see if it makes a difference. I bet you can't do that. I bet you can't make a blue list, look at it, get it all blue, keep it blue for 60 days and not have your life change or how you feel about your life change. In fact, I doubt if you can do that for 60 hours and not notice that something's different is going on. That's my challenge to you, my friends. So thanks for tuning in on this Saturday. I hope that you have plans to enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I will, given that I'm not traveling anywhere, because the travel schedule is going to really pick up as we move into the spring and summer time frame. Bar that I'm not traveling anywhere, I look forward to seeing you next week on Next Leadership Lab. Everybody, have a great day.